Welcome back to this week's Shift Summary. This is where we get a chance to break down a few of the most significant shifts and simple, actionable insights from our previous guest show. Things that can hit your RAS, that reticular activating system, remind you of what we listened to last week so that we can apply it to your business today to create acceleration in impact and income. And last week's episode, it was fire. So much amazing feedback. Thank you for those of you that are leaving the reviews on the platforms. We appreciate the messages. Last week, SheriLynn Alcala brought such an amazing perspective. Her story really speaks to the power of determination, the power of resilience, and what's possible for any one of us when we apply those to our dreams and ambition. I love how she shared her story. A stay-at-home mom, her and her family living paycheck to paycheck. She talked about the envelope system, discovering this industry through a social media post. You never know who's watching out there, and when that right post will fall on the right person at the right time. And from that post, how she went on to climb the ranks, reaching the highest position multiple times within her company and community, a top income earner for the last 9 years, and earlier this year, transitioning into a strategic role with her company as head of field and strategy, brought a truly unique perspective also from the vantage point of building with her spouse and her family, and a published author, infused such a faith-based, just energy perspective into our conversation, just as she does in her business and her life. We could really feel her mission of wanting to bring the same life-changing opportunities she found to so many. So it was an awesome conversation. We covered so many key moments. We talked about the power of a why. We talked about overcoming that hesitation, that pause, using our purpose to take our first steps, getting out of that when-then game we all fall into, how to shift from this victim mentality that sometimes can creep in to an optimist, and really her perspective on building a business with a spouse so closely, balancing how to create work and life. Not balance, but let's call it prioritization, wearing all the hats, setting healthy boundaries in order to excel in many aspects of life. I love the conversation we had, really bridging the gap that sometimes happen between the field and companies. Such a valuable insight and suggestions coming from her. Overcoming self-doubt, starting now. So many key points. So if you missed it, go back to last week, listen to the conversation. Might be one you want to listen to again to capture all the nuggets that we got, because today we're just going to dive in to 3 shifts that really stood out to me. Someone the other day said, these are like the Blake's takes. I guess they are. 3 themes that I saw really jump out of our conversation that I think are really important to you. Yes, you right now on your journey, whether you're just out of the gates, whether you've been at it for a few years looking to break through to the next level, or maybe you're leading massive communities wanting to stay ahead. These are shifts we need to make our own. Starting with shift number 1, which really had to do with even more than just overcoming challenges. We all know challenges are a part of any entrepreneurial journey. We should not be surprised when obstacles get put in front of us, when we get tested in sometimes surprising ways. It is a part of the process, and it's not just about overcoming. I love how SheriLynn really highlighted that it's our challenges, she called them our setbacks, that are often what set us up for our next step, for what's to come, for the future that awaits for you. And that's not just language. We have to adopt that into a core belief that our obstacles actually create opportunities to grow, opportunities to learn, opportunities to gain a lesson, shift a perspective, become better in some way to set us up for what is meant for us in the future. It reminds me of that famous Tony Robbins saying he's taught many of us. What if life isn't happening to you, but it's happening for you? And if we adopt that perspective, we get to ask ourselves in times of challenge, of obstacle, of setbacks, what else could this mean? And I love how simply SheriLynn put it, our setbacks are our setups. So we got to make the shift. How can we transform our setbacks into stepping stones, setups for what comes next for us? Let's make that shift. Shift number 2, the pattern that really stood out to me, really was around tapping into your purpose. I know that's a word, it's used a lot, right? It can have different meaning or association, but I don't care what your definition is. You have it. We all do. You were given gifts. You were given talents. You have parts of you, hear me on this, that make you truly unique. And here's the thing, you know what they are. You always have. They're the things that when you were young, you were attracted to, you couldn't stop thinking about. They're the things that you gravitate to no matter what. Naturally curious, states of flow, the things that no matter how far down our journey we get or how off track we sometimes are, the universe, the world has a funny way of knocking on the door, reminding us of where we're meant to be. And I love the conversation we had with SheriLynn, where she really brought up this word, this feeling of selfish. That word has an energy to it, where sometimes when we get put in so many roles, wearing so many hats, as mom, as dad, as spouse, as husband, as wife, as friend, as colleague, as coworker, as boss, all the things, that sometimes we end up putting all of our to-dos from all of those hats above that calling, above that purpose, above our own desire and our ambition. And we mask that in our need to want to help our family, our kids, our friends, our loved ones, our colleagues, which is noble and which is important. But I love the mind shift SheriLynn gave us, that it's not selfish to put your calling, your purpose, your gifts on the top of that list. Matter of fact, and here was the shift, it's selfish if you keep your gifts and keep your talents to yourself. You were given those to make an impact. You were given those to give to others. And it's not selfish. It's the opposite. It's selfless to prioritize your purpose. Put it at the top of the list. Put it in the calendar. Let go of the guilt. You were created for a reason, and the world needs what you can bring. So let's make the shift and realize you were given those talents. You were given those gifts. Stop ignoring them. Stop putting them at the bottom of your pile every single day. It's time to prioritize the purpose you have inside of you. Shift number 3, really, for me, was about the future. And not just the future of you and your business and your team today, really the future for all of us locking arms as a direct selling channel. And how we're in an era where we are really shifting, going from, let's call what used to be considered a non-traditional, maybe an alternative type of business model, to a time where it's really being normalized, mainstreamed. The world right now is increasingly open, looking, wanting, needing supplemental income. The gig economy created an acceleration. Pandemic accelerated it. Where we're at right now economically, people are actively seeking creative ways to bring more income into their household and pursue what they want at a time where social media, influencer marketing have made it socially acceptable for us to be publicly sharing products and opportunities that we love with our communities. You talk to my 8-year-old son or 5-year-old daughter or anybody from that generation, they look up to these YouTubers, influencers, and what they're sharing. It's normal today. And direct selling is now being recognized as not only a viable, but in many cases preferred means of marketing and distribution, bringing ideas, products, services, brands to the world, things you know and like and use and want to share with people you care about. You're seeing channels collide. And for me, that means now is the time to accelerate, make the shift, and capitalize on the truly unique era we are in as a channel. So that's your challenge for the week. Let's make these shifts. Shift number 1, what perspective, lessons, strength can you take right now from your personal setbacks? This is not a rhetorical question. I'm being literal for you right now. What have you gone through? Tell me about the mud. Tell me about the times you got knocked down. Show me those scars. Let's open those up and ask yourself the question, how can all of that help you get to your next level? How can all of that prepare you for all that's to come? Reframe, make the shift, and turn those setbacks into setups for what comes next. Shift number 2, let's prioritize you. Yes, you, your desires, your ambitions, your goals, your dreams. Time to put them on the top of the list. They need to go in the calendar. Schedule it. Prioritize it. It is not selfish. It is selfless. It's time to bring your gifts and your talent to the world in a way that lights you up to light other people up. That's the key to moving people. Shift number 3, now is the time. If we're in an acceleration of this channel, if we're at a time where finally what we do is being normalized and mainstreamed, business is changing, and you are uniquely positioned with your product, service, company, brand, surrounded by a community of experts on how to use personal experience to create opportunity for yourself and others. What urgency can you add to your business today to take advantage of this very unique point in time we are in as a channel? So those are your 3 shifts. That's my challenge for you. Make the shift. Are you following the podcast? Make sure you're following the show. Listen to all our episodes. We are live every Monday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible. You can watch the show on YouTube. Make sure you're following or subscribe to the show on all the platforms. That way you can get notified every Monday when we have new episodes drop, new lessons to learn, new shifts to make. And as always, if you found value in today's episode or any episode, hey, drop by Apple Podcasts. Go write a review, leave 5 stars. We read all of those. Drop me a message and let me know what is resonating with you. And remember, a shift really is a gift. And we have the power to open up that door for others. So help us spread the word about Direct Selling Shift. You can drop by Direct Selling News, our social handles on IG, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. Share the clips we're putting out. Tag your friends. And if you have suggestions for potential future guests or topics you feel will help you right now, hey, drop by directsellingshift.com right there on the site. You can nominate future guests and submit some potential topics. Join us next week on Monday. Oh, we have an extraordinary guest on the show, hailing from Taiwan, raised in Vancouver, Canada. His journey began from a life-changing book, and he transitioned from a traditional business into what is now a absolutely thriving direct selling business, ranking among the top 1% in his giant company. He is an author and a master of achievement. I'm talking next level performance. It's even earned him the nickname, The Beast. It's what his friends call him. We'll learn why in the conversation. So get ready for an enlightening episode and more transformational shifts to help you accelerate your income and your impact today. Remember, the right shift at the right time can change everything. And we're here to create the environment, give you the access to get the shifts you need for your next level. See you next time.